Yes. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Thank you very much for tuning in. Good morning to each and every single one of you. I hope you've had wonderful starts to your day. You know the drill. Like, follow, share. All the information for that is in the link in the description below. Also, go and check out the Discord server. By the end of the week, that is how we're going to be taking your calls. You can see it here. Never, ever, RIP Pepe. Never, ever. This is the page. Every time the Football Terrace goes live, you get a brand new notification. Look at that, all the videos for the last few days. Over 700 people using this now, so go and get yourself involved. We had the rankings released as well. There's a table that came out earlier on today. I'm not too sure what server this was in. I think it came out in the general server. And it basically showed the ranking tables, our most active users. I don't know where that's gone now. I'll try and find it later and show it. Arsenal heard a lot of gooners speaking yesterday, having their say, kind of crying a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Crying a little bit, boo-hooing a little bit. Meh. Oh, it's going to be okay. And did you see Gal last night? Oh, the delusion. The delusion is real, people. Arsenal are in the mud. For me, they need to get rid of Arteta. 110%, they need to get rid of Arteta. And I'll tell you as to why later on in the stream. But the biggest news this morning is that Arsenal are trying to offload Nicolas Pepe. Their £72 million flop. Arguably the biggest flop in Premier League history when you look at how much he cost, the profile, but more so for me, it's the hype, isn't it? More so for me, it's the hype. The reason that he's looking at the biggest flop is the hype. The way Arsenal fans bigged him up, the way they said he was going to be sort of better than Mahrez, better than Rashi, better than Salah. No. Biggest flop ever. Arsenal fans, do you want to see him moved on? We'll go through that story in a little bit more detail in the stream. But Arsenal fans, it looks like you want to move him on. We are taking your calls via Skype. The Skype lines are open, so feel free to give us a little tinkle, give us a little buzz, get yourselves involved. We want to hear from you. But the story, let's go through this story now. Nicolas Pepe, it says here, Nicolas Pepe is set to be eased out of Arsenal by the Gunners, who are desperate to avoid a repeat of the Ozil situation. Repeat of the Ozil situation is what they do not want to have. They say their £72 million record signing bagged the stunning opener in their 3-0 win over Moles. Remember, man's doing this, right? Man is doing this. Do you know, Pepe only performs when he's up against teams like Dundalk. Up against a team like Mould, bruv. Mould. Do you know the irony in this? Do you want to see? I love irony in this world. Arsenal fans are like, yeah, but he did it against Mould. Mould did it against Mould. Yeah. When you mentioned that Ollie won back-to-back league titles with Mould, that's a dead league, bruv. Dead league, bruv. Don't mean anything. So that means Pepe's goals mean nothing. You're doing it against a dead team from a dead league. Which is it? If you're going to recognize Pepe's goals as being instrumental and important and good, Ollie's won back-to-back league titles. Just putting it out there. It says here he won't feature he didn't feature in the Premier League fixture against Wolves or in the subsequent clash against Tottenham because he is suspended. The Ivory Coast International 25 was sent off, as we know. Arteta's called it unacceptable, but it goes on to say that the Arsenal hierarchy are looking to try and offload him as quick as possible before his stock drop plummets further. He's on 180. That's the staggering bit here with Pepe. £180,000 a week. Let me repeat that. £180,000 a week. He ain't scoring. He's not creating. Man like Danny, Devil in the Details, contributor, friend of the show, member as well, says it's not arguable. Pepe is 100% the biggest flop in Premier League history. And I agree. He's it's cost to income ratio. That is how I look at this. It's your cost to income ratio. And people always like to throw Pogba and Maguire in this, right? Oh, they cost loads of money as well. Bruv, they've delivered lots of things. Like Pogba has won Man United trophies or helped to win us trophies, scored in the final. Do you know what I mean? Like he had a season where he scored like one of the highest scoring midfielders in European football. He's done bits. Has he been as consistent as we all would want? Probably not, but the whole team hasn't. But he's delivered. Maguire has came in and has made Man United a much better team defensively. These things happen. Pepe's done enough, bro. Pepe has been outplaced by a bang average Willian. Imagine that. That's the equivalent of Paul Pogba losing his starting position to Mark Noble. It's the equivalent of Harry Maguire losing his place in the Man United team to Phil Jones. Let's have it right here. Super chat here from Sabotage, who says, I think we need a paternity test done for Igao and Ty. That's pretty good. I like that, my friend. We've got Max on the line here. Max, welcome to the Football Terrace. What do you want to say?
Hey, I just want to say that I don't think Pepe is the biggest flop in the Premier League. I think he's close. I would say Kepa is probably the biggest flop, because if you look at the performance of Kepa, he made a lot of mistakes. He was bought for big money, so I'll say maybe Kepa and then Pepe, but he's right up there. And I don't think it's all his fault though. I feel like the situation at Arsenal right now is not helping his performance. If you see, Arteta hasn't done enough to integrate some of the talents they've got. I believe Pepe in isolation is a good player. I just feel like Arteta has not been able to integrate Ozil, Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. He hasn't been able to come up with a system that is attacking enough to get the best out of those players. So I guess you are justified to say that he's flopped, but you have to look at the circumstances around, around calling him a flop. So I agree with you in a sense.
So on your points there, firstly, I'd say this. Kepa has been terrible. I felt Kepa's first season, I thought it was pretty good, if you get where I'm coming from. So he's had moments in a the Chelsea shirt where he's been good. It just got progressively worse. But I hear your point on that. On Pepe, yes, I agree. I think Mikel Arteta, I'm going to get onto him a little bit later, is massively responsible in certain areas for the situation that Arsenal find themselves in, because I don't think he knows how to create an attacking team. We all thought it would come out later on down the line, and it simply hasn't. He's not developed his team, and he has been there a year, and it's getting worse for Arsenal. They're going backwards at the moment. And I know Igao said last night that there's always a silver lining of hope. Whenever you're on a bad run, there's a good moment around the corner. My view is this for Arsenal Football Club. You've been on a downwards trajectory since 2004. It isn't getting better. And I totally get, I listened to what DT said in his fan cam about you kind of back people and you defend people and you think things are going to turn around and be different by being positive. And it just doesn't happen. And I think for me, I think Arteta needs to go. The biggest reason, aside from him being, I wouldn't say tactically inept, he's young and he's inexperienced and he's learning his trade. But it's, how do I put this? Arsenal right now are not in a position where they need a fledgling manager learning his trade. Arsenal need, because they're not run well as a club, they need a high-level, experienced, top-end manager to guide them. Do you get where I'm coming from? It's sort of like, if I'm on an aeroplane and it is terrible turbulence and the weather's bad, there's lightning, and it's going, I don't want somebody who's just got their pilot's license. I want an experienced pilot flying that plane. That's how I feel. You feel more comfortable. So listen, I've flown through these storms twice a month for 30 years. I'd be like, oh yeah, he's my guy. Rather than someone saying, listen, I passed my test on Monday. I've never flown in these conditions before, but it's going to be okay. That's how I feel with Arteta. And I just think that Arsenal Football Club have hung him out to dry somewhat. I think he needs to be sacked. I think he may get sacked. And on Pepe, yeah, for me, I'm standing by biggest flop in Premier League history. But Max, my man, thank you for phoning the show. Appreciate it. You can call via Skype. Information's there. Just search Football Terrace FC right now. You'll see us. See here with Super Chat says, Kepa won a Europa League trophy. Pepe hasn't touched anything but the Mickey Mouse Cup. Oh, listen, don't call the FA Cup a Mickey Mouse Cup. The FA Cup's massively important. Is Pepe being that influential? No. How many top Premier League games he had? Barely any. You know, are there moments in every game we think, oh, he looks good? I just don't think there is. Next up on the show, you're muting. Unmute yourself, please. We've got Solom. Solom, welcome to the show. Who do you support?
Can you just again ask the question because the line is cutting?
What team do you support?
Arsenal.
You're an Arsenal fan. What do you make on the situation with Mikel Arteta? Should he be back? Should he go? And on Nicolas Pepe, do you think he should be sold? Is he the biggest flop in Premier League history?
Okay, so I'll start with Arteta. The thing is, I'm at a position where I think if you bring if we bring Nagelsmann, right? We sack Arteta today and bring Nagelsmann tomorrow. I don't think it will help because the owners are not good enough, right? Because if the owners were good enough, they would give Emery Fabinho instead of Terrace or Thomas Partey to begin with. Pepe, I rated Pepe. I still rate Pepe, but then he wanted Zaha, I think. So again, the board is not backing the managers, and that's the fault of the owner. So I personally don't blame Arteta, and I'm completely like the people who are like Arteta out, right? So the first thing, I actually don't agree with people who say like Arteta is tactically inept, because he's clearly not. Because he defeated Pep, like Man City, Chelsea, right? And people might say, oh, it's the FA Cup and everything. My argument to that is when we were playing that like 17 passes like from the back, building up from the back, right? So people like, oh, Arsenal are playing good counter-attacking football. So if that is true, and we were doing it like against City, we did it in the Community Shield against Liverpool, then Fulham, I was like, oh, I can see the pattern repeating and repeating. So you get my point, what I'm trying to say?
I do, but I think it's layered here. So
yeah,
that was how things started, and it was going well. Well, I say when it started, my view is it wasn't until after lockdown that we saw that from Arteta, and it worked. You beat Liverpool in the league. You won the 2 FA Cup games. Tremendous. Started the season, you got the victory in the Community Shield against Liverpool. Continue to be pragmatic. And it's, oh, look, we've sorted ourselves out. The word was we've sorted ourselves out defensively. We scored these great goals playing out from the back. Most rival fans were looking at it saying, yeah, but what else is there? Is there a new dimension? Because it didn't take long for teams to suss you out. And you've been sussed out, but now you've got no attacking flair. You're playing out from the back to score goals simply isn't happening. And also people have worked out the chinks in the armor at the back. So now they've found the chinks, now they've found the holes. You're conceding goals at the same time. And there's been no response. You've gone from sort of the 5 at the back to 4. You're being opened up even more. As an example, as I say, you can't attack. And I know, listen, I by the way, thank you for your call, my friend. I really do appreciate it. I feel like, yes, Thomas Partey hasn't had a long run of games yet, but let's not get twisted. Thomas Partey came into this team and you lost 3 of his first 4 matches as well. And we know what a top-class player he is. This is a system issue. And like I've said, it isn't about, I'm not necessarily saying he's tactically inept completely. What I am saying about Mikel Arteta is he's a fledgling manager and he's in a very precarious position. And I don't think he's got the support around him to get through it. Yusuf's on the show. Yusuf, what do you want to say?
Yo, what's up? I just want to talk about Pepe a little bit. I think we're being too harsh on him. I don't think he's as bad as most people say he is. I think he is not only talented, but he's produced before Arteta came in under Emery. If you look at his last season, 11 goal contributions and 22 starts, that's not a bad return. That isn't as good as you expect, but he isn't necessarily what I would call a flop. A flop is coming in and doing nothing. But Pepe has done something. Wasn't he one of the most impressive players and most influential players in that FA Cup final? I think there's more to come from Pepe, but I'm not sure Arteta's the man to get the best out of it. So Arsenal fans, sometimes you deflect a lot of the issues in your squad onto the players that you find as easy targets. Oh, Pepe got him for 72 million. He is the issue. We don't want him. What does Pepe have to do anything with this? He isn't starting.
Well, but that would be my point, though. You know, he didn't. Yeah, he had. You know what? Last season, 8 goals, 10 assists across all competitions. You could say is a good base. But he's been at generally. But this is where you're missing the point, bro. This season, primarily, Arteta has gone for Willian over him, so he's been displaced. So the fact that
is it his fault?
Well, yes, and it doesn't really matter, does it? Whether it's his fault or not. No, I'm not actually sitting here saying Pepe is the biggest flop in the Premier League because of his own fault. I'm not saying he's not trained hard, but he still is. If Man United, if Chelsea, if Liverpool go out tomorrow, drop 70 million pounds on a footballer, they bring him in, does his first season, and then a year later is replaced by a man nearing retirement and is not starting games, that means there's something wrong. If your manager isn't picking you over a 32, 33-year-old Willian, when you cost the club 72 million, there's a problem. I'm not blaming Pepe for the issue. No one is sitting here saying it's Pepe's fault because of X, Y, and Z, but his own manager isn't picking him. So for us to all sit here and say, well, he hasn't been that bad, Mikel Arteta completely and utterly disagrees. Now, Arteta could be wrong in this. Maybe this is why things are going wrong at Arsenal. Maybe this is all Arteta's fault. Maybe Arteta admitting him from the squad is the reason that they're finding it hard to attack. And that's the tactical naivety that we see from such a fledgling manager. So maybe that's the problem. But all I can see is Pepe has been replaced in the first team for Willian. He moaned and cried about not getting game time. He does get a bit of game time, and then he headbutts somebody and gets sent off. This season, he's made 8 appearances in the Premier League, and he has 1 goal. In the Europa League, killing it. 4 games, 5 goal contributions. But that's where he's starting. You know, for me, he's now at the same level at Arsenal, according to the manager, as the likes of Nelson and Willock. That's where they see him. So for me, it's all about where you're being placed. I think personal opinion is one thing, bro. Me and you can think he's good, bad, indifferent. But where are you in the squad? Are you playing games? Are you being used? That's the ultimate barometer, because that's not about you and I having a subjective view. That's about the club's view of him. And they're now looking to sell him as well. So what does that tell you that they're looking to sell him?
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the flip side of the whole thing. So Martial was under the same situation with Mourinho.
Mm-hmm.
Was he a flop?
Was he a flop? So
he was under the same exact situation under Mourinho.
That's a really good question. So my view is this, and I said this before, stand by it. For Jose Mourinho, he was a flop. For Jose Mourinho, he wasn't working. For Jose Mourinho, he wasn't the player that was required. I love Anthony Martial, and I'm glad he's still here. But I disagreed with the club not allowing Jose to sell him, because a manager has to build his squad in his image, in the sense of he should only have players in the squad that can play his style and that are listening to him. Man United made that mistake. And if Mikel Arteta is looking at Pepe saying he is not right for what I want, then it maybe flops the wrong word. But at the end of the day, when you come in for £72 million and within a year the club are looking to move you on, I will categorize that as a flop. So
okay,
that would be my view. But also up until that point of Jose coming in, like Martial had delivered. So and performed better. So that's what I would say. I would say Martial is well above him, but equally he did flop under Jose Mourinho. No, it doesn't matter whether you think he flopped or Joe Bloggs thinks he flopped. The manager and the club didn't. The manager at that time thought that he did. That would be my response to that.
I'm gonna just put a couple of points forward. The way I classify flop is when he's on the pitch, does he deliver or does he not deliver? 50% of the games, Pepe delivered in the Premier League where he started. Now the other point is,
but you're deflecting, Yusuf, from what I'm saying to you. The manager has displaced him for Willian. So I want you to focus on that point. So forget how you feel. The manager's dropped him.
Just give me a second. I'm going to tell you why it's different. Because Mourinho is someone. Arteta is nobody. No one can tell me Arteta knows what he's doing. He has no track record. He has more credentials than him, and he still gets disrespected. Arteta has nothing. He's never managed the club. He doesn't know what he's doing. I absolutely believe he doesn't know what he's doing. The way I've seen Arsenal perform, it's embarrassing. Burnley play better football than Arsenal. It's an embarrassment.
So what you're saying is, so I understand this, is that he's not a flop. It's just that Mikel Arteta has no idea how to get the best out of him.
He's clueless. Okay. How can you have players like Saka, Aubameyang, even Lacazette? You drop your top scorer. He misses 2 chances. Aubameyang missed worse chances than Lacazette did, and he's still playing. Why did you drop your top scorer? He scored 3 goals. Aubameyang scored 2 goals, and one of them is from a penalty. How can you drop Aubameyang, your informed striker? He's gonna miss. That's normal. We'll give him chances, and he'll score.
Yusuf, thank you very much for your call. Interesting points made there by Yusuf. Doesn't think Pepe is a flop. Thinks that it's Mikel Arteta and his management. I want to hear from you. I want your views and opinions on that. We're going to go to Prime next. We've got some super chats here. First one from Monsieur Ahmed says, I asked a question on the Arsenal show if they would keep Arteta if their position was 14th to 16th in mid-Jan. Can't believe why the answer wasn't to get rid of him. Yeah, a lot of them are backing him regardless. Abs here says, hey, Terry, how can I connect with you? What account do I search for on Skype? Yeah, just read the screen, bro. Football Terrace FC, give that a search up. But make sure you're all subscribing and downloading and following us on our Discord server. That is going to be the way to stay in contact with the Football Terrace. The link for that is in the description below. This is how you're going to be able to call into the show very soon. And you'll never miss a notification again for a video that comes out. All of it is here, as you can see. All our videos, I've been using this now since only like a few days now. Getting close to 1,000 users on there. So make sure you go and follow us on Discord right now. And, of course, follow us on our other social media accounts as well. Sabotage here says, spot on, Terry. Look at Jose and Dele Alli right now. Yeah, like Dele Alli's not a Tottenham flop because this is the point I'd make to Yusuf is Martial has done bits prior to Jose outing him from the team to a much higher degree, in my opinion, than Pepe. Dele Alli's delivered for Tottenham, but right now, it ain't working. It's as simple as that. Plus, Dele Alli came in for 4 million quid, so it can't be the biggest flop. Prime, what do you want to say, mate?
Yeah, I still find it funny how Arsenal fans can still defend this guy, Pepe. Your last caller said he's delivered in 50% of the games. Well, if Chelsea were to buy a £72 million winger and for him to only deliver in 50% of the games, that is regarded as a flop. So why is it okay for Arsenal fans? Does it not show the difference in expectations from, the fans, that they're okay with him barely performing, finishing 8th and getting an FA Cup?
Well, I think it does. I think that's a good point. But also it's about what they do. So statistics are important, as we know. We had a big conversation yesterday about Marcus Rashford. And yeah, like 30 goal contributions in a season is very, very, very good. But it was also the clutch moments. It was also, what teams, were these elements sort of delivered against, if you get where I'm coming from. And I think that's what's really important when it comes to like reviewing a player is who, what, when, and kind of where. And if I look at last season, just in terms of goal delivery contributions, got an assist against Tottenham in a 2-2 draw. That's huge. That endears fans to you. But then his next 2 goal contributions came against relegation teams. He then went ages without scoring again. And then he got a goal and an assist against West Ham, who last season were a relegation team. He then scored against Man United. By the way, this is all the way in January by now. That was good. And then he went weeks again without scoring. And then he had a really good game. 3 goal contributions against Newcastle, who were a relegation team last year. Then scored a goal against Everton. That's pretty decent in a 3-2 win. And then he scored against Brighton, another team down the bottom. So the point I would say to people is this: it's more than just the statistics. It's the influence on game. And I said this before, it's the influence on games, the eye test, the stats, and then the clutch moments. And barring his goal in the Premier, I'm talking Premier League here only, against Man United last year, which stands out, he hasn't done anything. And it's sort of, I'm not saying stat padding, because goals are goals are goals are goals are goals, but he needs to do more in these bigger games. And we've all watched him in so many of Arsenal's big matches be almost sort of anonymous. And do you know what? He did really, really well in Arsenal's semi-final and final in the FA Cup. I think he got an assist in both of those games. And it was like, okay, you're showing us something. We're now talking, those games were in August and July. We're now in December, and we've seen nothing again since. It's too far in between. And the difference is, again, between him and Martial, and I didn't bring this point up with the caller because I hadn't thought about it, is Pepe's 25 years old now. We're talking about Martial's issues with Jose. That was 3 to 4 years ago when Martial was 21 years of age. He was still a kid. He was still developing. He was still learning. It's a very different situation when you're talking about a 25, 26-year-old who's already experienced, already a fully grown man, not adapting. I don't think they're comparable, to be fair. When you start breaking it down, it's a good point by Yusuf, but it's one I have to disagree with. Do me a favor, everyone tuning in, hit that like and share button for us, please. Man like Prime, thank you for coming on the show and having your say. Next up, we're going to have Ben on the line. Ben, welcome to the Football Terrace. What are you saying, mate? And having your say. Next up, we're going to have Ben, turn that device down in the background for us, please, my bro. Next up, we're going to have O'Shea on the show. O'Shea, what are you saying, brother?
Yeah, hello, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect, bro. What are you saying?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. What are you saying, my man?
Yeah, for me, Pepe is a flop, man. Like, I know he's only had 1 full season at Arsenal, but he's a flop. Of course he is. If you're calling, we've had the same energy with Kepa, yeah, and we've called him a flop. We said he's been one of the worst players in the Premier League. Now, granted, I wouldn't say Pepe's been one of the worst players on the same level with Kepa. I don't think he's cost them anything like Kepa cost Chelsea, as Kepa's cost Chelsea games, where I don't think Pepe's cost Arsenal games as such. But of course, he's a flop, man. I know your opinion is of it doesn't matter about the price tag. Maybe that's a bit of bias because Maguire cost 80 million.
Well, let me address it. So for me, I think it's a part of it because you drop such big money. I think it's more than that, though. It's the hype that comes with it. So my view is this: he cost 72 mil, and that isn't the biggest part of it. But it's the way the Gooners bigged him up. Now, we're a fan channel, so we're talking from a fan's perspective. When Man United bought Maguire, I would say 50% minimum of our fan base said too much money for him, he isn't worth that. Where Arsenal fans were saying to us, we've got the best winger in the league. So you're embracing the price tag and saying he's worth it because he's the best.
You know what? I had arguments with Arsenal fans. They were using his stats from Lille, and they were saying on paper we've got the best front three in Europe or something.
But that's my point. And did you get where I'm coming from, bro? So when we're fans here. So with Maguire, half our squad team fans are like, he's good, but he ain't 80 million pound good. So you already, that's why the price tag doesn't mean as much in that scenario, because a lot of us said it's slightly overpriced or massively overpriced. With Pepe, it was best in the league. So you can't use the price tag becomes important because you're saying he's the best.
I think the main thing for me with deciding how a player is considered a flop is obviously price tag is involved, but also the reason for why they're signed. So you could never call people love to banter me about Origi. Origi can't be considered a flop because he was bought for 10 million and was never signed to be a main starter.
Yeah.
Whereas Pepe signed for 74 million and was signed to walk into the team. He was supposed to start in that team.
Yep.
Do you know what I'm saying? So if Van Dijk, for example, didn't do what he did at Liverpool, that's a flop because he was signed to transform Liverpool's
Mate,
back line.
absolutely. So the money's a part of it, but it isn't the main thing. Everyone who likes to use Maguire, for me, Maguire's come in and made Man United's defense better overall. Now, you can look at individual games where he's had stinkers, and he probably has had, between 5 and 10 games they go, oh, terrible. But there's been loads of games where he's been brilliant. Defensively, we've conceded far less goals in the last 18 months than the previous 18. With clean sheet records higher, we're more stable at the back. Our win percentage has gone from 38% to nearly 70% in that span of time. So you get where I'm coming from. I'm not saying he's perfect, and I'm not saying he may be worth 80 million, but to put them on and the biggest indicator is he's already been replaced by Willian. So if Maguire was currently sitting on the bench because we went and signed a 33-year-old near retiree who just left one of our sort of Premier League rivals, and Maguire was missing out, I'd say, yeah, he's a flop because the manager's already replaced him. But there we go. Go on, sorry.
The issue, though, Terry. The issue is deeper than Pepe. And I use an example. You look at Liverpool, yeah. Keita, I would say, has been a flop. Yeah, 54 million.
Yes.
Our expectations were he alongside Fabinho, he was going to flourish in that midfield, and he was going to be the future of Liverpool's midfield alongside Fabinho, Wijnaldum, Henderson, etc. He's flopped, yeah. But that's one player. The rest of our players have done very well. It's one player. Whereas you look at Arsenal, it's not just one player. There's a deep-rooted problem with Arsenal. And I don't think Arsenal are a club where any young player like Pepe, who's coming from, like, say, a team like Lille, who had a wonder season, I don't think they should be looking at Arsenal because that club is not going to develop them. Now, granted, you do have players like Bukayo Saka who look like they're flourishing. But I think that's more to do with he's, number one, a very talented player, and number two, he's an Arsenal boy. So he's going to want to play for the club through thick and thin, just like Rashford at United, like Foden at City, like Trent at Liverpool. So I get there's a difference, but I just don't think Arsenal is the right club for any player like Pepe, who was 24 at the time. And I just, it's the deep-rooted problem. I was saying in the group chat yesterday, when you actually look at Arsenal, yeah, this should give an indication to how messed up the problems are at Arsenal. Let's look at their last three captains. Aubameyang has now been given these huge wages, and he's down tools. Xhaka, we all know about the Xhaka incident, and Koscielny, who refused to play and forced his way out of the club. What does that tell you about the club and the problems at the club underlined behind the scenes when your last three captains have all down tools?
Yeah,
there's deep-rooted issues at Arsenal that is deeper than just like with United. We can look at that and say, get rid of Edward Wood. That will solve the problem. You're the richest club in the world. Go out and buy the best players, and you can paper over the cracks for a couple seasons and win a title. That could happen. Whereas with Arsenal, it's deeper than that. There's deep-rooted issues, and I don't think this club is going to get over them.
Listen, I do get where you're coming from, and I know a lot of people disagree. The irony is everybody wants your players have had bigger flops, your players have had this, bigger that. Listen, whether you think he's the biggest flop or the second biggest, or he's definitely been a flop so far, Pepe. But you're right about Arsenal. The problems are more deep-rooted. And I spoke about this weeks. Aubameyang, £375,000 a week, can't hit a barn door. Partly system, maybe him. You've got Ozil, 350 bars a week.
What's the saying, Terry?
Terry,
what's the saying? I've heard you say it on this show before, and I know this saying. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And that's exactly what Arsenal do. You give Ozil 350 a week and look at the result. They gave Alexis Sanchez however much money a week, and he down tools and ran his contract down. And then they've done and repeated the same thing and give a 31-year-old Aubameyang 350 a week and a 33-year-old Willian 220 a week.
Yeah,
you know
mate, it's crazy. And look, you even look at Pepe. I'm not saying Pepe hasn't got talent, but he was 24 when they bought him. He's had one good season, and they dropped 72 mil on him, and he's on nearly 200 grand a week in salary. And the reason I think they're trying to be smart here, they're trying to move him on now, I think, because he's still got some value in the market. If he has another season, if he finishes the year like he's had so far this season, where he's barely playing, and then another year like it, and he gets less of his contract runs down more, his valuation continues to plummet. At the same time, you're dropping £180,000 a week, plus image rights as well, by the way, that makes it even higher. It's crazy. We've added Z to the line. Z, we're here talking Arteta. We're here talking Pepe, according to the media this morning, Arsenal looking to sell him and move him on. Equally, Arteta just looks, in my opinion, lost. I mean, absolutely lost at the moment. What do you think is going to happen at Arsenal?
First of all, I call Pepe the Marks and Spencer version of Francis Jeffers. Like that's what I call him. Like me personally, Pepe, he's overrated, and it's a good point that was brought up by Prime earlier. You look at Kai Havertz, Arsenal fans, everyone's jumping onto him saying he's a flop, but no one wants to say it's always, sugarcoat for Pepe. Oh, look at his goals contribution. I haven't finished paying for him, so I don't know. I don't know how easy it is for them to sell him.
Yeah, listen, I think you can, the way it sort of works. By the way, everybody get yourselves over and sign up to the Discord server right about now. The link for that is in our description below. It's also the pinned comment on the live chat bar. Get yourselves involved over on Discord right now. You don't receive it straight away, but when you sell, you can amortize the cost over the length of the contract. So let's say you buy a player for £100 million on a 5-year contract, it costs you 20 million a year. If you sell a player for 100 million, but you're only being paid 20 million a year, your accounts can show it as 100 million pounds straight in. Whether you receive all that money or not is another thing. It's how I think them Chelsea boys did a lot of their deals, like when you guys got a lot of money for David Luiz when he'd flopped. I've always felt like, yeah, that's what you put on paper. How much did you actually receive for him? We've added another caller to the show here. We've added Joe, who's a Chelsea fan. Joe, what do you want to say about Arteta, Arsenal, and Pepe?
Doing the Arsenal, right? Do you all play FIFA Manager or FIFA 21? Because Arsenal is look like that team. The whole team is shit. You need to delete all the player and rebuild the team. Yeah, that's it for me.
He phoned to say that. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Can I just say this? Can I just say this?
Yeah, go for it.
Let me just say this, and this is I as an outsider can see this, and the delusion from Arsenal fans that they don't realize this is beyond me. But when you actually look at the Pepe signing, that Pepe signing shows you how just ridiculous the owners are and how deep rooted these problems are. It's all been set up perfectly. So Josh Kroenke, not the owner, by the way, the owner's son, so the equivalent of a CEO sending out his assistant to make a press conference, basically. The owner's son came out and said, expect big signings. Within a week of him saying that, they go and sign Pepe, a player who wasn't linked with them, who was heavily linked to Liverpool when they needed defenders. What does that tell you? What's that textbook? It's textbook of saying, you keep complaining, the fans, shut the hell up. Here we go. Stop talking for a couple seasons. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Bro, Arsenal fans are the worst when it comes to PR. I mean, there's so many things they buy into. Lee Gunner, I know he's not everybody's cup of tea because he is quite abrasive and he's very forthright in what he has to say. But he was saying it all summer. People are words like X, Y, and Z is non-negotiable. Trust the project, trust the process. All these corporate buzzwords we use, and Arsenal fans got out their wank sock and were like, we love this. When they re-signed, by the way, I thought when they re-signed Aubameyang, I said, look, you guys should celebrate it because you're putting your money where your mouth is. For 14 years, 15 years, you've lost your best players because you were not prepared to pay them the salary. But no, Arsenal fans wanted it to mean more than that. No.
Yeah.
He stayed. He stayed because Arteta. He stayed because Arteta loves him. He stayed because Arteta has shown him the future. Like Arteta is Jesus talking on that hill, bruv. Like he's Moses or something. It's like, no, bruv. He stayed because of the 375 bags a week, bruv. That's why he's here.
Get anywhere else.
I know a lot about marketing. So when you just said about PR and stuff, I analyze everything. And I saw it straight away. As soon as Josh Kroenke did the press conference, I said, there's another red flag. Because whenever the owner or a manager of a business sends out somebody else to talk to the public, that's a big red flag. Yeah. So that's essentially what he's done. He sent out his son, who isn't the owner, who hasn't got shares in the company, to go out and and do a press conference. That's the first red flag. The second red flag is when he says expect big signings when all the fans have been talking about we want players, and then he addresses that. No manager of any corporate business addresses the public in what they're saying. You're not supposed to do that. You see in press conferences when Jurgen Klopp's asked a question and he doesn't answer it, or he says, I don't know, about player injuries or player transfers, etc. He's addressed something directly the fans have been saying, and then within a week they sign Pepe. Do you know what I'm saying? A big hyped player that's been linked with everybody else, a panic buy signing, and it's red flags, and none of the Arsenal fans do it. They sign Pepe, and the Arsenal fans were like, "Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, we're on the move." No. It's hush hush,
bro. They buy into this. This is where Arsenal fans have fallen short and fallen foul. They buy into this PR all the time. Look, we even had, by the way, before we go any further, do me a big favor. Over 1,000 people watching, but only 159 likes. What's going on? Hit the like button, people. We want to try and get to at least 50% of the live viewer to like ratio, please. Hit that like button right now, people, especially if you want to see Arsenal in the mud. I'm only joking with that one. Hit that right now for us. Super chat here says, I hear every Arsenal fan hyping about Pepe. Oh yes, we've got the man. Yes, then trying to compare Pepe to Pulisic. Typical Arsenal fans. You bought this upon yourselves. I do hear that. There's no doubt that a lot of Arsenal fans have certainly done that. But it's PR the whole way through. We've got man like KJ on with us now. What you saying, bro?
Yo, walk on, people.
Go on, K.
Yeah, what's up? Listen. Arsenal, yeah. Arsenal don't do their due diligence, bruv. They don't. They don't do their due diligence. Like, this Pepe situation, yeah. One, oh yeah, they know the funny. Actually, you know what? Let me start with this here. The funniest thing is about this whole Pepe thing, yeah. You know that signing was there for fraud, you know. Like they had to investigate their own signing because Sanelli, was shaving off the top, fam. My man used this signing to get some peas, bro. You know how mad that is? Like,
it's so crazy.
Man had to get fired because man was using the club for fraud, bro. Listen, you love to see it. But anyway, yeah, they clearly didn't do their due diligence because when a team like Bayern Munich analysed Pepe and said we're not in for him because he needs too much space in the final third to operate, that's coming from the Bundesliga, fam. All the man play with a high line and have space in behind. So if they're saying that he can't operate in the Bundesliga, how's man going to come and operate in the Premier League when there's hardly any space in behind? When you've got like half the league that plays sit-back football. It's not like in France. Exactly. Like
and the funny thing is the same Arsenal fans that attack.
Sorry, Z. Like it's not like in the Bundesliga where people can't play a similar way and there's bare space in behind to do all this running in behind, take on 1v1, step overs, cut inside and shoot.
Exactly.
So Arsenal, yeah, clearly, like O'Shea said, did it for PR, fam. They were like, the fans are on our back. They want a big signing. Who's had one good season? And
who's willing to come to us? Who's willing to join?
Can we buy for big money?
Yeah, and beyond that as well. I mean, look what happened on this show, on the transfer deadline day show. Do you remember this? Getting towards 2 months ago now. Thomas Partey was signed. Excellent player, good business. Obviously, got Partey for a great price. You had a gal and thousands of our Arsenal fans across social media acting like, oh yeah, it was preordained, it was planned to happen in this exact way. It was planned, preordained that we would bring him in on the last day of the season. He would come in this way. And you're looking at it thinking, what's wrong with you all? Like, you tried to haggle and get the price down all summer and it didn't work. You tried cutting corners and you ended up succumbing to the price in the end. You should have just paid the £42 million when you had, like, weeks ago when you had the opportunity to, because you got the money to do it. You just chose not to. It's like with Man United, you know, when we signed Fellaini, it weren't a great signing anyway, but it was even worse by the fact that we paid an extra sort of £10 million because we could have got him for his buyout clause a month or two earlier. It shows bad planning. Now, with Arsenal, they tried to negotiate. They tried to do other things. I actually think they tried getting a wire. It didn't happen in the end. Right, let's just get Partey. Why? It'll make the fans happy. And it did, didn't it? Did you notice the day before the transfer deadline day, we had Gooners on the show, kicking off, Gooners on socials, kicking off. And then the next day, the Pepe link, first thing in the morning was there. They've forgotten about all the bad stuff. Like literally suckered in again and again and again.
Partey is the best business that they've done since Aubameyang. Lacazette's another flop. No one mentions that. Lacazette is another flop. And these are the same Arsenal fans that attack Bruno Fernandes about penalties. Look at the season for Pepe before he signed. Look at the stats for Lacazette before he signed. How many penalties he scored. Arsenal fans are they're such hypocrites, so deluded. I don't know. They need help.
I was gonna mention that too. The thing with Arsenal fans is like I get banter and bantering other teams, but then they will just do it unprovoked. Like they will just randomly say, "Oh yeah, we're better than you. Look how look at your fridge. Look at this, look at that." And we're like, fam, like I'm all for banter stuff, but like when we give it to you, yeah, you guys are complaining and moaning. Why don't you give us respect? Why don't you?
Yeah, and that's what I love. I'm sorry to call him out. I know he's not here, but that's what I love about it. Hey, Manum. Why ain't you guys like respecting Arsenal, man? You got to put respect on our name, man. Like I can't believe it. What's wrong with you guys, man? Oh my God. Did you see his reaction, by the way, to Arsenal conceding the other day?
I had an argument with an Arsenal fan about something like this. And one of the issues I have as well with Arsenal fans, not Igal as such, but other Arsenal fans that have had this argument with me, they try to use Manchester United as sort of the club to say, well, they're the same as us and they got third, so we can do it. No, you're not the same as Manchester United, because the difference with United and Arsenal, although the same issue is in place where the owners are destroying the club, United have $100 billion and can go and splash out on the best players in the world, paper over the cracks for a few seasons, go and get top four and play Champions League football. You don't. Do you know what I'm saying? You don't. You're not in that position. You're not in. It's not the same. You don't have the money. I'm tired of. And look, I don't like giving United credit or backing them up because I'm a Liverpool fan. But you need to stop. Arsenal fans need to stop comparing themselves to United, because, like I said, and I repeat myself, United honey to paper over the cracks for a few seasons. This whole, like Terry, you said, the owners of Manchester United are the same as Arsenal in terms of they don't have a long-term Champions League football, get the money back in. Arsenal don't have that money. So
misery likes company. Misery loves company.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it.
With Arsenal, yeah, like I do actually feel for their fans because like they're in a similar position in terms of what the owners are doing. But like I'm baffled by United fans who scream that the Glazers are crap, but yet they're wearing the shirt all the time. Arsenal fans are doing too. I'm watching AFTV, yeah. All of them be included, fam. All the new kits, all these new things, and I understand some of them get sent them by the club and Adidas. I get that.
But that's
but
not
if you really want to make a stand, you don't wear that.
I don't like that excuse though. And the reason I don't like that excuse is I didn't pay for it though, but you're like the reason like do some YouTubers think that the viewers are dumb in the sense of, you know, like when you see it, forget football. If someone's doing an unboxing video of a brand new camera that's been released, bro, like especially if you've got like a 100,000 subs, 500,000 subs, 1 million subs, everyone knows you've been paid by that camera company to do that as a general rule. Like maybe if you're slagging it off, maybe not, right? But when an Arsenal fan's like, oh, I got this free, oh, look everyone, this free shirt came, it come in this nice box. Oh, it's a lovely shirt. Look at this, is all the texture's nice. Let me feel it. Oh, look at that. It doesn't chafe my nipples. If you're doing a video like that, right? If you're doing a video like that, you're advertising that club's branding. And the thing is, I'm not, look, listen, everyone's got to go out there and do their business. I think with a lot of the fan channels, they won't ever go against the clubs wholeheartedly because essentially they want the connection with the club, whether it be we want to be allowed to stand outside the stadium and do fan cams and not be moved on, or, you know, we have ideals one day of getting into, you know, training grounds and interviewing players and doing this, whatever it may be. You know, you'd also find that, you know, I know a completely different club. You know, they've got a lot of connections with like ex-club legends, but the ex-club legends are like, listen, there's certain things you can and can't ask us, say and do, because You know, if I'm on a channel that's like casing into the owners, I'm an ambassador at the club. They pay me a salary every year. I can't be on here with you guys digging into them too much, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that corporate influence. But you know, you're never going to get a true answer from somebody that works there. You know, it's like Man United got loads of ex-pros that are on the payroll at the club. Now, we don't know their financial situation. People are like, oh, I want to see our ex-players come out against the Glazers. Well, listen, bro, there's about 60 of them that are paid a salary by the Glazers to like be ambassadors. They're never going to come out and slag the club off. Why? Because that's their employer. They do like no. I know, like you think they should love the club above everything else, but feeding their families actually more important to them. I don't know if anyone's shocked. Like, I don't know if people are shocked by that, and that's why. By the way, I don't blame Robbie because Robbie's feeding his family. Like, you know, the AFTV, as far as I'm aware, employs his family. It supports his family. He's got to do what's best for him and his business and his organization. I ain't got an issue with that as such. But you know, anyone who's moaning about the owners of your football club, but then goes out and buys the shirts, buys the season ticket, buys the merchandise, I don't have any sympathy for you. I don't think you. It's just a madness to me.
Arsenal.
Sorry, go on, KJ. Go on.
I remember like we had that big debate about who's worse, Woodward and the Glazers or Ollie debate a few weeks ago on the channel, and I know some of the United boys were like, it's just too long, it's too hard to try and get these guys out. We have to go for what we can directly affect, which is they believe the manager. But the thing is, the guys who employ the manager are the same people you say it's too much effort to even try and get them out, but yet you believe you have an effect. I just believe if you really want some change, these Arsenal guys really want change. They despise Kroenke, even though they're like the one thing I don't get is like they were despising Kroenke and then the Arteta comes and they're like, oh yeah, trust the process. That makes no sense in itself anyway. Surely should be like double down on the Kroenke out, because why are you employing a manager with no experience? That's insanity for big Arsenal, you know. Everyone should literally just stop putting money in the club. Manny one time said, when like I just don't know when the right time is, and like I don't think now's the right time. Now's the perfect time. We're not even allowed to be in the stadiums right now, and they're already bleeding and hurting. Imagine when we get 2,000 fans back at least, and we still don't come.
Bro, do you know what it is? I think the point you just made there about
now's the time. We will have resistance.
Mate, I hear you. I think what you just said there makes sense. It's too hard to get the owners to. I get the point. Making somebody sell the club is very hard in the short term. But they say we can't influence the board, but yet you think you can influence the board to sack a manager. That's still influencing the board. Now, I'm pretty sure if fans boycotted stadiums, and you could go full on with this, but no, they're selling tickets to other people. Listen. 60,000 people outside the Emirates create a circle around the stadium, 4 men thick, link arms, sing Kumbaya. They can sell those tickets to tourists all they want, but if you don't let no one in, they're not going to deploy police to break you up, because they ain't got no time for that. Like, that'll cost them money, by the way, if they do. That's what you got to do. All turn up to the ground, four persons thick, ring around all link arms, ring around the stadium. Don't let no one in.
And
like you can stop. Like, do you get my point? You can, if you really wanted the change, there's things you can do. The difference is they don't want to hear it because they don't care enough. They care, but they don't care enough. Facts.
Look at Arsenal speak to this.
Can I just say on your point, Terry? If they were to do that, the police can't do anything about it from a public order point of view, because in the UK you have the right to peaceful protest. You can lay in the middle of the road if you wanted to, and they can't do anything. You can stop traffic.
Wait, O'Shea, when I've seen people glue their hands on trains in London and jump on top of them and sit on top of the train for hours, and not get arrested. Yo, you can stand around a football stadium,
and that's the point, gents. That's the point. Like, I'm just saying that there are ways into doing this, but it's about, do you really want to make a difference? And I'll be honest with you, like with the Glazers, I want them out. But if I put my hand on my heart, do I have the time and energy to actually do something about it? Barring not buying merch and barring like not spend, I don't. So I don't overly, when people ask me what the problem at the club is, I'll tell them, but I don't spend all my time preaching about it, because I'm not going to stand up and do too much about it. I'm a bit like that politically, really. There's loads of things I'd like to change in this country, but I haven't got the time or inclination to actually make the change. So I don't sit on social media moaning about it, because I just don't like idle nonsense. And that's what I see from football fans. We hate our club. We hate what they do. Do something about it then, bruv. And you do have the power to do something about it. Don't pretend. And then, by the way, that's tickets. Everything else, you guys control. Well, we can't make all Arsenal fans around the world not buy stuff. Yes, you can, because you're all feeling the same pain. So AFTV, League Gunner, DT, Troops, you use your platforms, your podcasts that are listened to by tens of millions of people a month to say, join us. You get people. I'm telling you, do you know what these social media people are called? Influencers for a reason, because they influence. Like, make people do it. Boycott. Do it this way.
Wait,
Do you know what I mean? Listen, Robbie, bruv, Robbie, yacht number two. Say, listen, guys, support the movement. Don't buy an Arsenal shirt. Buy an AFTV shirt. And we'll use the proceeds to buy the club. Like, it's billions. You're not gonna make that much money, but like, do it. Do something. Like, do something. And then if it doesn't work, at least you can say we tried. At the moment, it's like
the issue is though, AFTV are never going to do that because they are a market for the club. And I've said this to people. Of course, AFTV are a market for the club. The simple proof of that is look at the public relationship and unscripted relationship that Aubameyang has with Troops on Instagram Live. No club would ever allow that sort of unscripted public relationship between a player and a fan over Instagram Live. It's because they market for the club. Arsenal like AFTV because they market for the club. That's why they allow.
I know, Shay. Let's not get twisted. Like, Arsenal tried to stop Aubameyang from doing that, and Aubameyang was like, "Screw you, fam." You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing what I want.
Look, another thing that we've got to pick up on, just because I think Arsenal as well. Arsenal fans are saying trust the process, right? Arsenal's fixture list, these upcoming fixtures: Tottenham on the weekend, then they got Bar in the cups, then they got Burnley. Then they got Southampton. Then they got Everton. Then they got Chelsea. How many realistic points did they get from there? So are you still going to trust the process?
It's peak for them. It's actually peak for them. It's actually peak for them. You know, like they may get points from Burnley, but like, of course, I want them to beat or draw with Tottenham because it means Liverpool can go top of the league if we win on Sunday. But the likelihood is that's not going to happen. They're going to get piped, yeah. And then Southampton. Look what Southampton just did to United. I know United won, but do you know what I'm saying? They still put 2 past United, and it took for Cavani to come on for that comeback to happen.
Merchants.
Nah. do you know what I'm saying? But I'm talking facts though. Do you know what I'm saying? And then who else? Who else did you say they got? Everton.
Everton. Then they got Chelsea. And then Boxing Day could be the Boxing Day for Arteta.
It could be. Listen, all our own clubs have got stuff to do, but from a perspective of watching Arsenal, this could be an amazing next month or so. It could just be the greatest. And by the way, on AFTV and all the other Arsenal influencers, listen, they have no obligation to do anything about protesting or anything against anything they don't want to do. And I don't have an issue with that. Jesus Christ, like I don't actually care that deep about it. My point is that if you moan about something, but don't moan about something that you don't have any inclination or want to actually change. Like, do you get where I'm coming from? You know, if I keep moaning, I don't like the color of the walls in my house. If I ain't got the get up and go to go down to B&Q, buy the paint, sugar soak the walls, paint the walls, let it dry. Do you know what I mean? Then stop moaning about it. I'm just one of them people in life where if something bothers me, I do something about it. If it doesn't bother me, if I'm not taking action against it, it doesn't actually bother me. And I always remember, I think I chatted to DT about this years ago when they were doing the protests, and there was a good few numbers, but it wasn't like tens of thousands. And that was always my thing around, do people actually really care though? They like to moan, but do they actually care? There we go. Boys, listen, I appreciate everyone tuning in this morning. Thank you very, very much as always. Do me a big favor and hit the like button, hit the share button. Make sure you bring yourselves across right now. About 50, 60 of you have signed up during the show, which is amazing. Get yourself across to the Discord server. As you can see, that there's some of the new names since we've been live. You might even see yourselves, as time goes on. Big new show coming Thursday. Announcement coming later on today. You're going to see man like me on a brand new platform. Of course, back in the football terrace. Make sure you keep yourselves tuned in. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.